Bizarre and bloody practices of medieval barbers. Type locked in.
Barbers in the Middle Ages were the ultimate multitaskers. While it's true that a lot of surgery in the Middle Ages was done by so-called barber surgeons, these precursors to the old dude.
How fucking crazy that would be. A guy with no experience, no medical license, no training. He's just been winging it for a while. Yo, I got a toothache. Oh, no problem, boss. Let me get my rusty pliers out.
Dude with combs and a jar of blue water did a whole lot more than just cut people open. So, today we're going to take a look at the bizarre and bloody practices of medieval barbers. But before we get started, be sure
You got a degree in medicine? Well, did they have degrees in medicine at that time? I think barbers were effectively just doctors and dentists. Like, the guy who cut your hair was just a multitasker. You know, he was an all-around guy. He was a jack of all trades.
Subscribe to the Weird History channel. After that, we'd be much obliged if you would leave a comment and let us know what other medieval jobs you would like to hear about. Okay, prepare yourself for a close shave with history.
Terrifying amateur surgery. Holy dude. Imagine you have something wrong with you, and the best guy you could go to is your barber. I feel like I would rather try and perform surgery on myself than have some random dude. I mean, he has some level of experience, right? He's better than you. I think that's fair. He might fuck up and kill you, but he's done this 30 times. You've never done it. So it's like, he's still more knowledgeable than you.
Perhaps the best description of medieval barbers comes from an inscription on a 16th century woodcut by German artist Jost de Man, presented in the first person from a man practicing the trade. I am called everywhere. I can make many healing salves. I can cure new wounds, also fractures and chronic afflictions. Syphilis, cataract.
Syphilis. You're syphilis. This barber said that people would come to him with an STD. What? Cataracts? Your eyes? Like, cataracts, you got problems with your eyes, what is he gonna do? Gangrene, yeah, pulling teeth, shave, wash, cut hair, also like to bleed. What, like bloodletting?
Gangrene, pull teeth, shave, wash, and cut hair. I also like to bleed. While it may sound like the worst Tinder profile ever written, it's not wrong. Medieval barbers did all that stuff, and they were considered the experts, although some, if not most of their methods, were a little questionable. For example, once upon a time, medieval barbers used to pour boiling oil into gunshot wounds in order to cauterize them.
I mean, that doesn't sound that crazy to me. Even if I got shot in the middle of nowhere, and I'm like, I need help, and this guy's like, I'm gonna pour boiling oil on it so it blocks the wound, I'd go, okay. I mean, what else are we gonna... Tourniquet? Yeah, but I mean, you still gotta fucking cauterize. You gotta get rid of it.
Which sounds a bit like driving your car into a lake because the check engine light came on.
Okay, why is that a bad idea, though? Could somebody explain to me? Why is pouring boiling oil in an open wound a bad idea? Because it's bad. But why? Infection? But wouldn't it singe it? If I got, like, a wound, say I'm camping, and I got a wound, and I'm talking it's a bad wound, I might put a fire poker in the fire until it's red hot and then go right on it. Would that be bad or good or neutral? I think that would be good. Like an open wound? No, that would probably fix it up. I think that would fix it up. That's different. I think that, okay, it's not going to solve the problem, right? But like momentarily, that's probably a good play.
Then one day, a famous French barber surgeon named Ambroise Paré realized how unhelpful boiling oil was as far as treating wounds. How did he make that discovery? Well, at the Battle
the guy probably died.
of Turin in 1536, Paré ran out of oil and was forced to improvise. He instead threw together a salve made with some egg yolks, because he had them, oil of roses, possibly for the smell, and turpentine, because at that point he was just grabbing whatever.
I mean, bro, like, this guy's actually just cooking shit together. Like, imagine you're like, I need to heal this guy's wound. I'm just gonna start grabbing stuff from my kitchen. Here's some salt water. Yeah, let's pour some flour on it. That'll heal it up.
After a sleepless night on the battlefield, Paré awoke to discover that his salve, slapped together as it was, worked a whole lot better than the boiling oil.
Ooh. What?
Though, to be honest, anything other than a second bullet would have felt better in a gunshot wound. According to Paré, he visited with all of his patients, and he discovered that everyone who had been treated with his weirdo salve, counter to his expectations, fared better than those who had traditional boiling oil. He wrote that
Okay, well, it might have just done nothing, and boiling oil made everything worse.
each patient he treated with salve had a good rest, and that their wounds were not inflamed or tumefied. On the other hand, those that had been treated with standard boiling oil were feverish, tormented with much pain, and the parts about their wounds were swollen. You know,
Wow, that's shocking, because I would think you would just want to fucking singe that shit, you know? Like, you got an open wound, like a red hot, right on it.
like a person who had been doused with boiling oil. After repeating the procedure on diverse others, Paré concluded that neither he nor any other should ever cauterize any wounded with gunshot. Paré went on to advocate that medical practitioners should treat wounds gently, an innovation that of course survives to this day, although I'm pretty sure that doesn't include turpentine and egg yolks anymore. Barbers performing minor surgeries in the Middle Ages sometimes offered anesthetic in the form of something called a soporific sponge. It was
Oh, I thought it was going to be like, the barbers offered an anesthetic by hitting you in the back of the head with a wooden club. You would then pass out, and they would be able to perform the surgery.
like a primitive form of chloroform, made by soaking a sea sponge in a mix containing ingredients such as hemlock, mandrake, ivy, hyacinth.
Doesn't hemlock kill you? Isn't that what Socrates drank and died from? Oh, they put it on the wound, though?
Mandrake, ivy, hyoscyamine, mulberry juice, and opium, among
okay.
others. I'm no doctor or even a medieval barber, but it sounds like maybe the opium is doing the heavy lifting there. Also, pretty sure hemlock is poisonous, but hey, it's a party. The sponge is supposed to be completely dried out in the sun during the dog days until all the liquid is consumed. When the barber needed to knock someone out, they reconstituted the sponge by dipping it in water and then placing it under the patient's nose. Some historians have suggested that the sponge contents were meant to be imbibed, which would have been a very stiff drink. Get it? Stiff? Because it'd probably kill you? Okay. Pass the sponge. Instead of university-educated physicians, lowly barbers in the Middle Ages were tasked with removing kidney stones. And they
What? How are they getting a kidney stone out of you? Because either A, you piss it out, or B, they're going up the dick hole. Or the, pee hole of a vagina. How is he getting that out? Was he going to start punching you in the kidney until it breaks loose?
They often did it with an audience watching, which adds a
I'm not. What? What do people? How bored people had to be. Like, whenever you hear stories about medieval times, and it's like, they had, outside of work, they had nothing going on. They would attend executions. Now we're going to see a barber try and get Frank's kidney stone out of his fucking dick hole? What is he doing?
a real weekday matinee vibe to the term operating theater. Traveling from town to town with a special lithotomy table in tow, talented barbers would perform the simple procedure in just a few minutes, in public, in order to help advertise their services. Some barbers were just showmen.
Holy fuck, dude. I can't imagine you laying on a wooden table with a crowd around you, just butt naked, and this guy just fucking peeling you open with a rock.
Looking to make a quick buck. These so-called stone cutters.
And it was good. And people were watching that going, I do have a kidney stone. I think I'm... How much?
That's a hell of an image. Were heavily fined if their procedure didn't go according to plan. After all, you couldn't just have anyone with zero medical training perform
Oh my god, imagine going to your barber to get your fucking foot amputated. Oh!
surgery in public. Bloodletting and the related practice of leeching are what most people associate with archaic medieval medicine.
You go to your barber for bloodletting? Yeah, just a little off the top, man. He just opens a big vein. It starts spewing out. Just starts filling the fucking bowl. You're like, what do I do? Oh, let me break out the boiling oil.
And the association
On the house.
holds up. Medieval folks undeniably loved a good bloodletting. But did you know that medieval people thought that bloodletting was a cure-all that would fix pretty much anything and everything? That's the reason barbers practiced bloodletting more than anything else. As far as they knew, there was nothing it couldn't make right.
Right to the dome.
It was like Robitussin, if Robitussin stabbed you in a major artery. One medieval medical textbook even boasted, bloodletting clears the mind, strengthens the memory, cleanses the gut, dries up the brain.
Bloodletting may cause instant death, low blood pressure, infections, damaged veins, heart attacks, and other complications. Ask your doctor about bloodletting.
The marrow, sharpens the hearing, curbs tears, promotes digestion, produces a musical voice, dispels sleeplessness, drives away anxiety, feeds the blood, rids it of poisonous matter, and gives long life. That sounds pretty good. I'm in.
Is there any actual, usage of bloodletting, though? I know when they would do trepanning, which is when they would drill holes in your skull, you would usually die, but it did relieve pressure. It got what they wanted to get done, but then you would die, most of the time.
The book also claims bloodletting cures pains, fevers, and various sicknesses, and makes the urine clear and clean, which is how I think everybody likes urine. Of course, in reality, bloodletting doesn't do any of these things, and it can even prove fatal.
If this is a real pain, a dead guy that was alive in the 1500s painted these people happily slashing swords into this guy's head.
Bloodletting doesn't do any of these things, and it can even prove fatal, which weird history fans who saw the episode about the death and attempted resurrection of George Washington know a little something about. But it's...
What? People attempted to revive George Washington with bloodletting? A day after George Washington's death, a doctor arrived at Mount Vernon and proposed a procedure to resurrect him in 1799. A day after. What was the fucking plan there? Oh my God, dude. That was 200 years ago. And that's a long time. But to think that, they thought they would be able to res him 200 years ago, and they're like, I've got a method. You got to hear my plan out. They wanted to thaw him in cold water and then lay blankets on him and put into activity the minute blood... Wait, what? Thaw him in cold water? Was he frozen? How did George Washington die? Oh, he died of throat infection. And then they put him in the snow? What? They thaw him in cold water and then lay to him in blankets and by degrees and by friction to give him warmth. And then put into activity the minute blood vessels at the same time to open a passage to the lungs by trachea and to inflate him with air. And then they transfused blood into him. So they tried to inflate his lungs and then pump him with blood and thought he would come back to life.
Were still prescribing a good old-fashioned bloodletting the year Bambi came out in theaters. Medieval barbers
Decorated their shops with blood.
looking to advertise their superior bloodletting skills channeled their inner Don Drapers, and by placing bowls of human blood in their shop windows. While the blood bowls may have brought in new business from stray dogs and supernatural creatures, the people of London didn't respond to them so well. The blood would congeal and get putrid, causing the disgusted citizenry to push for a law banning the questionable displays. The law was passed in 1307 with the following wording: no barber.
They had to have a law in the 1300s that barbers would stop. It was so bad that they kept putting blood bowls outside, and it made it smell bad.
Shall be so bold or so hardy as to put blood in their
And keep in mind, this is around the same time where people would just throw shit out of their window.
windows. I'm not sure, but I think that's medieval sarcasm. The barbers were a bit miffed by the public outcry. For them, the displays were a handy way of recycling unwanted blood, and if they couldn't use it for promotional purposes, what were they supposed to do with the blood? Throw it away? Actually, yes. Lawmakers, ever concerned about public health and sanitation, advised barbers to throw their old bowls of blood into the River Thames instead. Further proof that the Thames has literally never been safe to swim in. So how did barbers advertise after the Great Blood Bowl ban of 1307? Some historians believe this is when the practice of wrapping a bloody cloth around a pole outside the shop began, a grisly precursor to the wholesome image of a modern-day...
Wait, what? That's how that started. That's how that started. The little fucking spinny wheel of the red and the blue was people pinning blood outside of their fucking shop.
Shop began, a grisly precursor to the wholesome image of a modern-day barber pole.
Shampoo and shaving with urine and beer. I would rather somebody shave me with beer.
Believe it or not,
I get there's alcohol in that, so it's somewhat sterilizing.
Human urine has its uses as a cleaning agent, even though you're probably not going to see it on the shelf of Target anytime soon. The Romans knew it. In fact, they even recycled their urine to help get their togas cleaner.
Yeah, no, they used to have like little basins that people would wash clothes and pee in. And that was like a job. It was like a guy was just like the pee dude. He was a laundryman.
And it worked. Truly, ammonia does wonders. Barbers in the Middle Ages knew it too, and even used stale urine, known as...
Do you think they liked, for urine, for like medical practices, do you think they liked like clear urine or like dark pee? Like you haven't, probably that. Probably like dark, smelly, like asparagus pee. Like that's probably, yeah, like fucking like orange. Like when you wake up in the morning and you didn't drink water right before you went to bed and it's just piss.
Iotonium as a shampoo for their clients. That's cool. Whether you could bring your own locally sourced pee from home is still a matter of historical debate. No doubt some of you are wondering if washing your hair with old ghee is a workable life hack for saving money on shampoo. Well, some modern folks have given it a try. And the general word is that while rinsing your hair with urine will keep it silky and shiny, the whole
oh my god, like what Beverly Turner 45 claimed her auburn locks have never been silkier.
Try. And the general word is that while rinsing your hair with urine will keep it silky and shiny, the whole...
Oh my god, I couldn't imagine doing that. I couldn't imagine peeing into a fucking cup and then pouring it on my head. I would my whole body would vomit. Like, dude, that is so gross.
Procedure still makes your head smell like pee. A document from 1499 detailing the affairs of the Guild of Barbers of Oxford mentions ale-basters, an obscure term that initially stumped the editors of the tome Records of Medieval Oxford. Subsequent research, however, revealed that the lowest class of medieval barbers simply couldn't afford a plentiful supply of shaving soap, so they sometimes turned to froth of ale for basting their patients' faces instead. Yeah, they used beer foam as shaving cream, for when you're looking to give your face that bar rag freshness. Why Axe, Old Spice, or even Anheuser-Busch haven't resurrected this trend is yet another of history's mysteries. Now grab that Michelob and get a good lather going. A lot of medieval barbers doubled as chandlers. Could they be any more medieval? Sadly, however, this had nothing to do with 90s sitcoms.
Did they get paid well to do this?
Sense, a chandler was
like, what was the average barber? Because they were saying poor barbers, so probably not. Like, they were probably like lower class citizens that just had to do all of this stuff. Like, you're basically a doctor before, modern doctors exist.
Was just another name for a candle maker. Why did barbers make candles? Well, chandlers and barbers both used a ton of wax. Barbers used it as a base in ointments, and chandlers obviously had a great need for it in their candle making. Sometimes barbers practiced a strange procedure where they would treat a patient by using wax to make a model of their diseased organs. They would then present the wax organ at a shrine in an effort to call upon the divine to ease their patient's suffering. Alternatively, they would make a limb-shaped candle and burn it at a shrine for patients with arm or leg issues, such as gangrene. While not uncommon at the time, if you see your barber burning a wax effigy of your knees, it's probably time to find a new barber, or just get new knees.
They did dental work with acid. It just keeps getting worse. It just keeps getting worse. How is it getting worse?
Barbers also doubled as dentists in the Middle Ages, because apparently anyone who used pointy instruments at work were considered general practice.
Dude, I can't imagine going to, like, my barber in the 1500s and him just gripping my neck with a pair of pliers and just ripping my tooth out. Like, yeah, this looks bad, man. I think I'm going to need to rip it out. Like, imagine getting your tooth ripped out, no fucking anesthesia. Like, I just walk up to you with a pair of pliers and just... and it makes that sound.
Practitioners. Like their general medical skills, some of their dental techniques were simultaneously modern and terrifyingly primitive. To start, the barber would scrape your teeth using toothpicks and scraps of cloth. Okay, so far so good. But to whiten the teeth, the barber would use something called aqua fortis, or strong water. That is good branding. It sounds strong. However, aquafortis was actually highly corrosive nitric acid, which will
Oh, okay, yeah. You want your teeth a little whiter?
clean your teeth according to a generous definition of the word clean. In point of fact, it did do the job it was
Did it rip your enamel off, though?
employed for. One historian says teeth were known to be considerably whiter after, but only because it ate away at the enamel,
Yeah, so it made your teeth less healthy.
essentially destroying the tooth from the outside in. Between the acid mouthwash and the pea shampoo, we're beginning to think medieval barbers shouldn't be trusted with anything.
Tell me they did something with poop. That would be funny. Acid, tooth wash, pea shampoo. They just start like rubbing poop in your hair. They dissected bodies for actual surgeons. Wait, actual surgeons existed like plentifully, or like why wouldn't an actual surgeon just do this?
For a long stretch in the Middle Ages, barbers, for whatever reason, didn't receive the same level of respect as university-educated physician monks. Can't imagine why. Physicians and surgeons of the time generally didn't debase themselves by performing things like bloodletting, kidney stone removal, and tooth extraction. Furthermore,
Oh, they only wanted to handle big things, so they let all the small shit for barbers.
the Pope had outright forbidden physicians from performing certain procedures like bloodletting. This meant barbers were often tasked with the unpleasant grunt work procedures. Additionally, barbers were brought in to do the gory elbow work of dissection, while a physician or anatomist walked them through it, step by step. Physician Andreas
What, so they didn't have to fucking cut up the body? They just gave call-outs to the dude that did?
Vesalius, who lived from 1514 to 1564, helped shake up that status quo like a can of shaving beer when he argued, during his second ever anatomical lecture, that the anatomist would be better served by doing the work themselves. Vesalius simply took the knife away from the barber and never looked back. Vesalius was a take-charge kind of guy who did what he felt needed to be done. He even stole the cadavers of executed criminals to use them for practice. That
My
sounds like
God.
unpleasant work. I think I know a few barbers who could help you out with that. So what do you think? Which of these old
Well, hygiene was like for medieval peasants. Dude, I love these random history videos. Went for just a trim, left with a full-blown appendectomy. Yeah, went for a haircut. He ended up cutting off my nuts. Do a video on courtroom jesters, either general. Dude, I love learning about jesters, too. They get everything paid for them, and they just have to do, like, one comedy show every once in a while for the king. But if they fail, then it's, like, all fucking gone.